This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
We are back with another episode of HBCU Central Inside the Locker Room. And today we have another guest with us, EWU Antonio Russell. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're doing amazing. We're doing amazing. And, you know, we're continuing our tour, touring the CIA and SEAC schools, you know, giving them as much love and appreciation as they deserve before the season kicks off. And what better way with that to do with having an actual football player with us today? And, you know, Mr. Russell, the first question I kind of want to ask you to start off this interview is, you know, just what has y'all's offseason been like just preparing for this upcoming season? Because many polls have y'all ranked as a predicted finisher in first place.
It's been a lot of hard work, a lot of grinding. You know what I'm saying? You know, we got some great coaches and installing some great, you know, culture and, you know, to the new guys, even still to the old guys. You know what I'm saying? But it's been a lot of work, a lot of preparation for what's to come for the season ahead.
Great response.
For sure. And Mr. Russell, I'm just gonna go on and give you the chapter name, then I'm just gonna ask a question. So this first chapter is called Transition to College and Hometown Roots, my man. My first question to you is basically a 2-in-1. So coming from Pinson Valley High School in Alabama, how has the transition been to playing college football in Florida at Edward Waters University? And also, what are the biggest differences in game speed and defensive packages?
So, you know, the high school I played at in Alabama was pretty competitive. You know what I'm saying? Played 6A classification in Alabama. You know what I'm saying? We're going against a lot of good teams. You know, had a chance to be ranked nationally a few times. You know, I won a few rings, but even then, you know, high school is a lot different from the college, no matter if it's D3, D2, D1. But the biggest thing, you know, when I got to, especially here, when I got to Edward Waters, you know what I'm saying? I've always been like a speed guy, but you know what I'm saying? The coaches here kind of helped me understand, well, I can say kind of, they did help me understand like how to use my speed and, you know, understand like a lot of because everything in college isn't just man on man, you know, beating one guy. It's like different zones. You got to understand whether that be cover 2, cover 3, or cover 4. You know what I'm saying? I got to understand a lot of different things throughout the game, practice. So I will say that's the biggest thing. You know what I'm saying? I've always still been able to use my speed even in college, but it's just kind of slowing it down. Understanding the game is the biggest thing that I'll say as I got to college, no matter what, even, you know what I'm saying, whether it's D2 or D1, you know what I'm saying? It's all still the same thing when it comes to understanding the game.
For sure, bro. For sure. I'm totally with you on that for sure.
Yes, sir.
And my second question, you know, for you is just thinking about Edward Waters. What are your expectations just for Edward Waters? And also, why was Edward Waters the right fit for you as a player?
Well, I would say I expect, you know, obviously we even last year when I got here pretty late, transferring in, trying to, you know, get my stuff in like in the past season 2025. Even last year we had the same expectations, was to, you know, win a championship. You know, That's what we're you know, get instilled into our head every day is to win a championship. Nothing's changed, no matter the polls, what we're ranked. It's still the same mentality, same mindset. We're working to win one game at a time, and hopefully, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the season, we'll have a ring on our fingers, but you know what I'm saying? We're all still working one day at a time. It's nothing in the head. We're not looking too far ahead. We really don't care, you know what I'm saying, what the media says or what we got. We're still working the same goal, same missions, you know what I'm saying? And why I chose, I ain't gonna say why I chose. You said why Edward Waters is good? Was right for me?
Yeah, why you feel like it's the right fit for you?
Well, you know, I've kind of been, you know, around a few states when it comes to like for schools, you know what I'm saying? I've got a chance, you know, play D1 ball, which everybody seems like, you know, every kid wants to play. But I think this is the right, you know, offense, especially for me, because, you know, it's the offense is a lot, you know, a lot of our guys are, you know, smaller guys, you know, well, it was last year, even though, You know what I'm saying? It's not specifically for it, but I feel like this is the best for me. You know what I'm saying? It's for playmakers, and I feel like I'm a playmaker. A lot of the guys we have, well, I feel like all the guys we have are playmakers. And you know what I'm saying? If you're a playmaker, you know what I'm saying? It's much more. You know what I'm saying? A coach can scheme up a curl route or a slant, and you can catch it. You know what I'm saying? Every receiver should be able to catch that, but it's really what you do outside of. Here we get an opportunity to do outside of the slant or the curl. If you take it for a touchdown, you know what I'm saying, the extra 10 yards they don't scheme for is I feel like it's a great opportunity here for me. And you know what I'm saying, it's pretty chill. You know what I'm saying, it's pretty good vibes in Florida. You know what I'm saying, for being from Alabama, pretty country, but yeah, it's great vibes being out the way. You know what I'm saying, it's been nothing but a blessing for me in Florida. I'll say that much.
Agreed. You know, like Deuce tell our guests all the time is that, you know, every HBCU has their own different style of culture, have their own different style of experience, and that's the most magnificent thing about HBCUs is that, you know, everyone has their own different style of culture and, you know, atmosphere. But at the same time, it's one thing HBCUs are similarity as, and that's a family reunion type of events. You know, everybody coming together and just being one, just being equal, and no race included.
Yeah, yes, sir.
But Mr. Russell, this chapter is called Position Mechanics and On-Field Play Style. Now, I'm pretty sure you've probably grown probably an inch taller since then, but I just went way at the top of my head, did a little research on you. At 5'10", man, you have the ideal build to manipulate space. Do you see yourself primarily matching up in the slot, or do you prefer working outside against cornerbacks? Because every player has their comfort level. I mean, of course, you know, every player has to have that. Every player has to, be at that position every time. But there's a such thing. There are some players who have a comfort level. So, what is your comfort level?
Well, most of my, time I've been in college, I've been primarily at the outside receiver, even at, I guess you could say smaller size. I've been at outside. I've kind of gotten more comfortable with outside, but as I've gotten here, I had to play last year. I had to play second half of the season. I had to play some slot, you know what I'm saying? And that's why it's never, you know what I'm saying? Which is perfect for my size, but that's why coaches always tell you, to learn not just one position, but all four receiver positions, because you never know where you're needed at. But I will say I'm primarily I like being outside. I get to use my speed one-on-one with corners, you know what I'm saying, whether that may be deep ball or getting yak yards from somewhere. But I also like the slot too. But I do say I am more comfortable outside though, for sure.
And my last question just for you is, what team this year are you most ready prepared for, ready to play? Team that's just circled on the map?
Well, second year playing for Air Waters, it's really everybody, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it really ain't circle nobody, I guess, you know what I'm saying? I mean, easily people might say Jackson State, being a D1 game, but everybody, you know what I'm saying? The first game we got to play Florida Memorial, then we worry about Jackson State, then whoever else on the schedule. But I say it's one game at a time. It's really not like somebody circled, because you know what I'm saying. We can't really circle anybody, even though I could easily go on a limb and say maybe an old school or something. But it's really just everybody against us at this point. I really want to have one team circle.
And I wouldn't even blame you, because a lot of people are ranking y'all first, and as a team that's first place, I think y'all's focus is championship, getting to the championship, and everybody that's on y'all schedule getting past them. So I wouldn't even hurt. I would love that response. Also, Jackson State, that's one game that I feel like that's a big test for y'all. Jackson State, they're one of the top dogs in the SWAC. Y'all are the top dogs in the SEAC. I feel like that'd be a great matchup. Y'all coming to the vet, I believe. And also, let me say this: who else? Do y'all play Virginia Union this year?
No, we don't. We just play. It's two. We play two out of conference games, and that's Florida Memorial first game, and then we play Jackson State second.
Okay, yeah, but that was my last question. And like I said before I pass the mic back over to Michael, shout out to y'all and what y'all have accomplished last season and going into this season. A lot of people were shocked that Edward Waters was predicted finish #1, but I'm like, you got to look at last season and you got to look at what they've done in the offseason, who's come and transferred in, who they've recruited. And I got to give y'all a 10 out of 10 offseason, just what y'all have done alone. So, I got high hopes for y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the words of Tupac, Deuce, all eyes on me, but in other words, all eyes on us. All eyes on EWU. Am I right, Mr. Russell? All eyes on y'all.
I always say that, but I mean, outside looking in, it probably is like that. But you know what I'm saying? We still gonna work, be the same team that we was day one. We're trying to be unchanged mentally. You know what I'm saying? With us, we're still working to be the same team. You know what I'm saying? Since last year, like people don't understand that since last year. You know what I'm saying? It's been the same process. Like we thought we should be in the championship. It didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully, by God's will, you know what I'm saying, and the work we put in, we'll be there this year.
Yeah, for sure. But Mr. Russ, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this third question, man. So this chapter is called Off-Season Progression and Team Coaching. Now that you are a sophomore, right?
Basically junior on the field.
Okay. So basically, now that you are a junior on the field, you know what the college season demands physically. What was your primary focus during the off-season conditioning program to prepare your body for this year?
Well, in the spring, I did track. I did track. I tried to do football with it as well, but I primarily was doing track in the spring. So coming to the summer, it wasn't really tired of how to stay in shape because I was, freshly off a track season. I competed the whole season. A lot of running, you know what I'm saying? So I was in I guess in that type of shape. I was in a sports shape, but getting to the summer, I was just mainly trying to focus on, getting back into a football shape because track is a lot different. Football, you're running multiple plays, having to come back. You might have to run a post, go ball, another post, come back and block, and then have to come back again. So it was really just trying to get in shape for that type of conditioning, and then obviously try not to overwork my body because I have been trying to. I've been, working with two sports, but as a whole, like for the team, I feel like our strength conditioning coaches have did a great job. You know what I'm saying, with everything, like when it comes to conditioning, strengthening in the summer. You know what I'm saying. I think we've had a great plan put into to help us win a championship this year. So that's mainly what's the whole process been. Just a lot of not a lot of running, but like what I'm saying, just making sure you're. It's not what's crazy. The running isn't like what you think the average stuff, but it's some stuff that'll help you out, you know what I'm saying, for the season to come, you know what I'm saying. Weight room, it's probably been the best weight room, like I say, session I've had like while I've been in college. Like gotten pretty bigger, really stronger, felt myself get even faster, you know what I'm saying. Hamstring problems went away, so I really thank my strength conditioning coaches, so really helped me out.
Absolutely, man.
Deuce? Yeah, and just to wrap this up, Mr. Russell, you're coming on here, you're putting Edward Waters on the map, and I feel like a lot of people that they focus on the Division I side of sports, but they don't focus on the Division II side of sports. And Division II side of sports, they have some ballers down there, and I just watched it last season, and I was just like, man, these schools got to get put on the map. They got to get put on a bigger platform so people can hear these athletes. And, players like you, they deserve all the recognition as possible. And I'm going to say this, thank you to coming on the show and, just promoting Edward Waters University, because some HBCUs just don't get as much love as the others. And, compare Edward Waters' love like comparing Jackson State love. Edward Waters deserves more love from what they do from the basketball court to the football field to the track field. It's excellence everywhere. And like I said this before, thank you for coming on our show, for working with us, because you could have just been like, man, I can't do it, I'm busy, but you worked around your schedule. This is kind of a late showing today for us. But you came on here, you gave us a really good talk about Edward Waters and what y'all got planned for the season. And, just like I said, the last thing I got to say to you is, man, ball out this season. And then, I want to see you rock out. I want to see Edward Waters in the championship this year.
Yes, sir. I got you. We got you.
Appreciate it.
Same over here. The sky's the limit, as Lil Wayne always said. Everything that you do from here on out is basically up to y'all. And basically, what my dad used to say is that you can't win a championship if you don't have the right players and the right data. So I know that you know from the inside of the facility and on the practice field, you know whether or not y'all had the right data. So basically, all I can tell you is take one game at a time. You know, every game is what you make it. You know, your home game is just any regular event. What you do on the field is what determines whether you win or lose. So I want y'all to be able to be more successful and in this season, and also like Deuce said, win the championship, because this isn't just for Edward Waters. This is for everybody. But as mainly as Edward Waters is concerned, we want you all to continue to build upon that winning success. What happened last year is last year. This is this year. What you do this year is up to you. So forget about what happened last year. What 2026 is, what is Edward Waters? What are we going to see this year? Are we going to see the same Edward Waters as last year, but different? Or are we going to see something totally different? That's the question upon the horizon. So as far as my message to you, Mr. Antonio Russell and Edward Waters University combined, ball out, show out, and put some respect on your names.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's all I can say about that, man. But I wish y'all the best of luck this year. Not just conference, but in each and every home game, away game that y'all have.
Yes, sir. We got you. We got you.
Yes, and take care, man.
I got you. I got you. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome. And Michael, so next on our agenda today, Norfolk and Delaware State. Coach Vick and DeSean Jackson are back at Lincoln Financial Field for their next matchup. And Michael, last time they played each other, mind you, these are two former teammates. They got a lot of viewership and a lot of attendance at this game. I realize, I think the MEAC conference and Lincoln Financial Field, they already knew, look, we got to get this. We got to renew this back. The same game. And like, they were already playing, but they knew, let's get them back at this stadium because this is going to draw in attendance. Michael, what does this mean?
This means a lot. This means a lot, first of all. I'm excited for this matchup to be back. Basically, a run back.
ESPN, Big State, prime time.
Yeah, and what people say in the hood. Let's run it back. So, let me say this. I'm excited as always to see not just DeSean Jackson and Michael Vick in the same stadium where they balled out in their prime. That, dudes, itself speaks volume. But when you have them two as head coaches, different HBCUs, that's more extreme volume. So I'm excited for this game, dudes. I don't know if you remember, but last year that game was very competitive. 27-20 came down to the wire. This could be the same thing last year. It could be the same thing this year. It could be the same thing this year. I think it's going to.
And we spoke with Mr. Boykins last week. And he said, he wouldn't sleep on anybody in the MEAC, and teams, they're prepping. Teams are prepping this year. And let me say this, Delaware State, I feel like their biggest thing is Norfolk could have almost beat them. And for Norfolk is like, we could have almost beat Delaware State. So Delaware State is on with the mission on their head. I need to get my get back. I'm not Delaware State. Norfolk State, I need to get my get back. Delaware State, no, we need to prove that we need to win the MEAC. Delaware State has already had talks all season. Can they beat South Carolina State? Can they beat North Carolina Central? Can DeSean Jackson take them to the Celebration Bowl? They were one game away from it last year.
Yep.
You beat Norfolk State. You can kick that season off, and that I know that's going to give you some momentum because Norfolk State and Delaware State, as long as Coach Jackson and Coach Vick are there, I feel like they're going to start developing a rivalry between the two, just because of how the games are playing out right now. But also for Norfolk, you beat Delaware State, you beat a top team in the MEAC. Okay, that gives you confidence to go and beat a team like South Carolina State, who is arguably right now the Division I national champion, ranked number 1, and they earned it. They earned it. So you beat a team like Delaware State, you get the momentum going into, okay, you play South Carolina State and you play North Carolina Central. And let me pull up the schedule to make sure that they are playing them before. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Or actually, this is what we'll do. Okay, there it goes. So yeah, for Delaware State, you play North Carolina Central, you play Norfolk, if you can, those are two tough games right off the bat. Okay. If you can beat those two teams, you're riding with momentum against Morgan State and Howard into you're playing South Carolina State. Delaware State has another realistic chance. If and Michael, we talk about this all the time. It's not about last season, but it's about this season. If Coach Jackson can start off strong against North Carolina Central and Norfolk, I must believe that he will have the momentum riding in South Carolina State. And I'm looking at it for both teams because this game can mean a lot for both teams. Certain games are turning points for certain teams. We've seen it last year with Grambling. Look, hey, I think after midseason, Grambling that was their turning point, and it was like, okay, where injury bug hit and they didn't finish how they wanted. And this happens all the time.
Yep.
But Michael, I think you summed it up perfectly. This is good for the story of HBCUs. This is good for the story of their legacy as coaches and players. This is good for the legacy of these HBCUs that are playing Norfolk State and Delaware State on this primetime matchup. And if I'm HBCUs, I'm saying, okay, how can we top this from last year so this can continue to happen in the future and we can get better venues and better TV deals, or not TV deals, but better teaming. How do I say streaming platforms to stream this game, going on into the future. Right. So if I'm a HBCU alumni or a student, I'm tuning into this game. I'm watching this game. I'm bumping up the viewership from last year. And if I'm close and you have the money, I will go out and support your local HBCU, And if you're in the area and you're in the Philadelphia area or by around Lincoln Financial Field, hey, you want to go see a primetime HBCU matchup between two legendary coaches? Hey, it's right there. So like we say, like me and Michael say all the time, go support your HBCU. Back then, I feel like Black Americans, they did it perfectly. They were at all the neutral sites, they were at the home games, and kind of with streaming and stuff, it's kind of going down a little bit. But that doesn't mean that, hey, we can't come out and support this team in person and on the TV. Last year at the Celebration Bowl, they supported. It may not have been as much in person, but on watching on ESPN, the viewership was out the roof. I believe that can happen in Norfolk and Delaware State.
Yep, and Deuce, I'm just going ahead. I'm gonna give you a deep tactical breakdown right here. Deuce, this 2026 chapter, it's already a rivalry. This rivalry serves as a fundamental clash of styles of momentum built from primary seasons conference layouts. Deuce, I'm gonna start with Delaware State right quick. The Hornets hold their upper hand in recent momentum under their coaching staff, coming off a strong 2025 conference season where they finished 4-1 in MEAC and 8-4 overall, securing the second place in the final standings. Like you said, they were so close from the MEAC championship game, Deuce. Here's the strategy. Delaware State leans heavily on keeping defensive coordinators off balance by generating vertical, explosive plays. Here's the key focus. They excel at converting momentum from big wins into multiple weak streaks. Their defense now prioritizes aggressive secondary alignments to force quarterbacks into rushed checkdowns or turnovers. Now, here's Norfolk State. The Spartans are looking to exact revenge for the 2025 Philadelphia loss and fundamentally reset their identity after a brutal 0-5 MEAC stretch and a 1-11 overall 2025. Now, let me say this right quick. This ain't the same Norfolk State you're going to see this year. I'm going to say that respectfully.
Mike Vick already said that too at Media Day. He's already said that too. So don't come in the season sleeping on him. Please don't.
Exactly. What happened last year happened last year. This is a totally different identity and a totally different team of attitude.
You give Mike Vick. I'm gonna say this real quick. You give Mike Vick a whole year under his belt at the collegiate level. Look, you're going to see improvement, and I very much well believe that.
Absolutely. Here's the strategy, dude. Expect a highly physical, chip on the shoulder approach. The Spartans' offensive blueprint typically focuses on establishing a heavy, dictating ground game to control the clock. Here's the key focus. Shortening the game will be critical for Norfolk State to keep Delaware State's quick strike offense off the field. Now, defensively, they must address the systematic breakdown in edge containment that plagued them during their 2025 conference struggles. Now, I will get into the critical matchup variabilities, but for the sake of time, I am not going to do that. But let me give you this. Let me tell you this message right here, Deuce. The 2026 Norfolk State versus Delaware State Halloween matchup at Lincoln Financial Field mirrors a major corporate turnaround story, or, if you can call it, a classic cultural festival, where underdogs and frontrunners meet under the brightest lights. Because sports mirror the highest stakes of human endeavor, this specific HBCU event serves as a perfect parallel to several uplifting real-life dynamics. Let me get it first. Corporate turnaround and strategic reset. Deuce Norfolk State entering this game after a winless 2025 conference run parallels a classic business turnaround story. Think of a legacy tech company, Deuce, re-engineering its entire product line after a down market year. Deuce, the Spartans aren't just playing a game, okay? Let me make that clear. They are executing a strategic pivot on a massive public stage, proving that a rough chapter does not dictate the future of the organization. Number two, the grand stage catalyst. Deuce staging this game at home of the Philadelphia Eagles mirrors a grassroots theater company being invited to perform on Broadway. That's right, I said it. A grassroots theater company being invited to perform on Broadway. It evaluates the daily grind of the student athletes. The massive platform gives both programs the mainstream spotlight, recognition, and enterprise level validation their hard work deserves. Two more things I'm going to give you. First thing, the high stakes professional reunion. Deuce, the coaching matchup. We talked about that. Featuring former NFL standouts leading their respective programs, parallels industry executives returning to mentor the next generation. It is the real world equivalent of top tier professionals leaving Wall Street or Silicon Valley to teach at their alma maters, bringing elite real world blueprints directly back to the community. Last thing, I'm leaving it alone. The community homecoming and cultural anchor. Deuce, beyond the X's and O's. An NFL stadium HBCU classic acts exactly like a massive multi-generational family reunion or a premier cultural festival. Say it again. Beyond the X's and O's. An NFL stadium HBCU classic acts exactly like a massive multi-generational family reunion or a premier cultural festival. It blends, high stakes competition with a celebration of music, marching bands, and community resilience. Thus, it serves as a reminder that the surrounding culture is just as powerful and enduring as the main event itself. This event is just like any regular HBCU event. But this is a multi-generational family reunion from all different races and all different backgrounds and culture, whatever you want to call it.
Agreed.
Or you can call it a festival, whatever.
And speaking of our next team that we know was in the MEAC, North Carolina A&T dominate the MEAC for years. There was a graphic that was posted a couple of weeks ago of teams who won the Celebration Bowl, and North Carolina A&T was pretty much the whole entire bottom row before they left the MEAC. But recently their coach has spoken out and says he wants to reclaim their championship identity. Michael, am I not right? And North Carolina A&T has not necessarily done well in the new conference. Michael, how does North Carolina A&T get back to that championship window?
Dudes, North Carolina's A&T's blueprint to reclaim its championship identity in 2026 relies on a profound mindset shift away from seeking external validation from the Coastal Athletic Association, basically the CAA conference. On the second year, head coach Sean gives Deuce, the Aggies are alternating their perspective from trying to prove they belong to honoring and glorifying the historical standard of that built their national historical black colleges and universities based in HBCU powerhouse status. Deuce, instead of letting outside opinions dictate their trajectory after a demanding 4-31 overall stretch, since joining the league in 2023, the program is driving a cultural and physically dominant transformation from within. Now, here's the breakdown, Deuce. Personnel, size, and tempo. Coach gives strategy for the 2026 season zeroes in on building a bigger, deeper, and more competitive roster engineered for high-tempo execution. Now, Deuce, for the second time, I'm not going to get too far into that, but what I can give you is the uplifting parallels. The psychological and structural framework of North Carolina's AAT 2026 reclamation strategy beautifully mirrors a high-level real-life dynamics. Here's the real-life dynamics, Deuce. Number one, the heritage architecture rebrand. Dude, North Carolina A&T's pivot parallels a legendary technology giant that stops rushing out reactive features that mimic its newest industrial rivalries and instead returns to its signature core architecture. Deuce, after a few rough financial quarterbacks attempting to blend into a foreign market space, executive leadership halts the framic appellations. They redirect the engineer resources to perfect the foundational specialized power that made them a global gold standard in the first place. Number two, the restored artistic ensemble. Deuce, let me say this right quick, bro. The Aggies' internal focus mirrors a world-renowned orchestra or legendary theater company returning to its roots after an experimental avant-garde tour. Deuce, rather than performing to chase the nugget of approval of foreign critics, the artists locked back into the precise internal rhythms, strict standards, and unmatched chemistry that originally built their multi-platinum award-winning era. Number three, let me try to make this as much sense to you as I possibly can. Re-anchoring corporate core values. This transition represents a multi-generational family enterprise resetting its core principles following a period of aggressive corporate expansions. Instead of let me slow down a little bit. Instead of speeding vital capital, trying to force a point to newly acquired board members, the firm focuses strictly inward. They operate with the deep understanding that true market dominance is won by simply carrying themselves with the baseline quality that created their original empire. Here's the launch pad that I want to give you. The path to the 2026 campaign. The road to testing this cultural and mechanical restoration kicks off at Truist Stadium in Greensboro, North Carolina. The opener, Deuce. The Aggies officially host a battle-tested Morgan State University team for a high-stakes championship weekend matchup on Saturday, August 29, 2026 at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's the stakes. Facing a Bears roster entering fall camp with the returning 15 starters and 66 returning letter winners, this home opener provides the ultimate public launchpad. It gives North Carolina A&T an immediate opportunity to demonstrate exactly how a championship mindset translates into a dominant football program. That's what we have to look at this as, Deuce. That's what North Carolina A&T needs to look at themselves as. Instead of trying to get validation from the public, focus on trying to get better for yourselves. Honor your HBCU. Like I just said before, honoring and glorifying the historical standard of excellence that is built at your HBCU. That's what you need to focus on. Deuce, the North Carolina A&T I grew up watching was the North Carolina A&T that nobody could touch. Grambling couldn't touch them. I'm gonna be real about that. North Carolina A&T game,
too.
the
They split them 1-1 in the they actually beat them in the Celebration Bowl, I believe.
Yeah, they beat them in the Celebration Bowl. That's what North Carolina A&T needs. I know I backtrack a little bit, and I know I say all the time, don't reflect on what happened last year or back what happened in the past. But this is an example of positive success.
Yeah, and let me say this, because that's the standard. That is the standard for North Carolina. And like certain programs, you just have standards. It's make the championship year in, year out. North Carolina A&T is that good of a program. When they competed in the MEAC, they were at, Celebration Bowl every year. And I feel like just since they moved to the CAA conference, it hasn't been that success. And this is good that he's calling out like, look, we got to get our championship identity back. And look, you can start that off by playing against Morgan State. What fellow way to do it against beating your fellow former MEAC rival, So our next topic, actually, before we close this out, is Tuskegee has implemented a new dress code and students are giving mixed reviews. And look, I'm gonna say this really quick from my point of view before I pass it over to Michael. There's always two sides to, there's two sides, there's two perspectives. You got the student sides, you have the alumni, teachers, and professional side. From a student side, I can see it from look, we pay all this money, we do this, this, and that. But hey, let me say this. How you dress in public tells a lot about yourself. And I've always told myself, and my father's always told me, you never know who you'll see out in public. And look, I understand that, hey, you want to go to class comfortable, but sometimes you have to do it appropriately in the right frame of matter and in the right place. Like, okay, there's certain places for bonnets and do-rags, and that's in your house. That's in your room. That's not in a teacher setting. And you can say, oh, they're trying to make this, they're trying to, turn us white. No, that's not what's happening. Black people, that should never even be, when somebody wants black people to be professional, it should never be, oh, we're turning them white. And that's how you kind of see where people's heads are at. Yeah. Look, Michael, I'm gonna tell you this. I agree with that new implementation of that rule, because look, I see that Graham, students need to dress better going to class. You can't sit in class in pajama pants and do-rags and bonnets, expect people to take you seriously, because what are you going to do that in the real world when you get an actual job? You can't do that. And this is setting students up for the right success going forward. Break students out of that habit right now while they're still having it in place in college before it gets to the real world. Yes, and from the students saying, oh, we don't like this, we pay all this money, we should be able to wear whatever we want. Look, I'm a student. I can see it from your viewpoint. I can see it from your point of view. But at the same time, as you get older, you realize how you dress and how you appear yourself in public is how people are going to take you seriously. You never know who may be in front of you. You never know who may show up that day you're in class.
Agree. And let me say this. There are pros and cons to this. Like Deuce just said, there are two sides to every story. Deuce, honestly, there are rights and there are wrongs here. And to the people that don't know, let me give you a quick overview, Deuce, because there are some people who don't know anything about this. An announcement was made by University President Dr. Mark A. Brown. The policy establishes a clear professional boundaries across the campus. Now, here's the bans for the people that don't know. Students are strictly prohibited from wearing bonnets, do-rags, pajamas, bed slippers, or overly revealing clothing inside classrooms, dining facilities, and official university events. Here's the mandates. Incoming students must bring business suits and professional footwear to campus to wear during formal university functions like convocation, if I believe I'm saying that correctly. The context. This policy is paired, Deuce, with an academic crackdown that includes strict classroom cell phone bans and tighter attendance tracking. Now, Deuce, let me give you the pros and cons. Here's the pros. The argument for professionalism. Career readiness. It forces students to build daily around presentation, helping them master the professional inequity required for internships and corporate hiring panels. Number 2, leveling the a standard dress expectations. No, a standard dress exception ensures that students from all socioeconomic backgrounds focuses on clean, professional presentation rather than expensive hype beats or designer streetwear. Number 3, preserving institutional legacy. Deuce, it upholds the historic elite standard of excellence championed by Tuskegee's founders, positioning the student body as an elite professionals to visiting recruiters, donors, and alumni. Last thing I want to give you for the pros, mental switch to focus. The argument that changing out of sleepwear creates a psychological shift from relaxation mode to academic focus mode. I'm gonna say it again, relaxation mode to academic focus mode before entering a lecture hall. Now, here's the cons. The argument against cultural policy. First thing I want to give you, cultural policy of black hair. Bonnets and durags are functional, essential tactile tools used to protect and maintain black hair textures. Banning them can be seen as a direct attack on hair care. Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, that probably had nothing to do with that, but if you really think about it, most students care about their hair textures. They care about that. And if you're older, you might, if you really know these young generation, they care about their hairstyles. They're going to do anything they can to make sure that their hair is what they want. That's why I said banning them can be seen as a direct attack on natural hair care. Number 2, respectability politics. Critics argue, Deuce, this is a form of respectability politics. The flawed idea that minority groups must conform the Eurocentric standards of an appearance to be deemed smart, capable, or worthy of respect. Number 3, comfort and safety. An HBCU is traditionally designed to be a safe, comforting haven from the pressures of the outside world. Forcing strict dress codes inside dining halls can make campus feel structive rather than welcoming. I'll say it again. Forcing strict dress codes, Deuce, inside dining halls can make campus feel restrictive rather than welcoming. It's like that at high schools, Deuce. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's some high schools who have real strict dress codes. When in my high school, back at Russell Junior High over there at Russell, Louisiana, we had strict dress codes. You couldn't wear things a certain kind of way. My wife told me when she went to Minden High, they had strict dress codes. So it's kind of like that here. It feels more restrictive rather than welcoming. And that's kind of, it's okay, but it's
you got to look at you got to look at it from two sides, because it's not okay from the student side of things, but you kind of need it in place because students will take something and go full overboard with it. You can take the littlest thing that they give you and they run a mile with it. Look, hey, as a student, okay, if they came and said, "Oh, you can't wear this in class," at first, off the glimpse, I'd be like, "Okay, they're telling me what I can and can't wear for money that I pay for," you know. But you got to look at it from an higher ups point of view.
Yeah.
When we have professional leaders come to our school and we have other people come to school, how does that make our school look when you're walking around here and there? And like you said, Michael, it's two sides to every story.
Yep.
So if I'm somebody monitoring this, what's going on, I'm looking at it from a student's perspective, because a student they can give all the reasons why they can and can't. And I'm looking at it from a faculty member, and I'm looking at it from an administration perspective, an alumni perspective. This is why it shouldn't happen. And you find a middle ground. Overall, let me say this. Do I think that these should be in place? Yes. But do I think that it should have happened this way? No, because I feel like people should just already know off the top of their head what you can and can't wear. Yes, how to dress and how to go certain places. And, look, like we can keep saying, you can have your opinion on it, but it's still a place. It's a place and time for how you dress. And you never know who may be there. And let me say this, HBCU Central is not, if you're a student watching, HBCU Central is not saying, oh, we don't say it's not messed up. Cause like here, let me say this coming right before the school year, hey, it probably ruined a lot of your outfits for class. But hey, if it means bettering the HBCU and bettering the identity and the look of the HBCU, then I'm all for it. And I feel like this is just something so simple that students can get accommodated to. But to wrap this up, oh, you got something else to say real quick, Michael?
Yeah, I just had this last thing. You got to think about it from a financial burden standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. And like I said, these are just pros and cons. These are just pros and cons from what people have said and, all this and that. But there are some people who have also talked about financial burden situations. Requiring specific businesses and professional footwear as an immediate financial hurdle for low-income or first-generation college students who may not have room in their budgets for formal wear. Now, I'm not saying that's entirely true, but Deuce, there are some students, there might be some students who are not as financially stable as everyone else is. There are some students who probably can't afford these suits. And these are not just suits that you buy on Shein or Amazon. These are suits that you normally get from all these big time suit places. So there are some students and there are some, like I said, low income, people that can't really afford these things. You have to think about it that way too. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that student support. That's not what I'm saying. But from a reality, real life, in this economy standpoint, there are some people, dudes, who have money, but they don't have the money to afford a suit. Unless, like I said, the good thing I guess you can say about Amazon is that sometimes you can find suits at a affordable price. I think we can all agree on that because I have. I'm just gonna say it now. But I just have to think about it from that standpoint. And like I said, these are pros and cons. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I'm not saying this is a good thing. It's two sides to this. That's why I said pros and cons. There's pros and cons to this. And how you feel about it is how you feel about it. But that's what we also have to think about it too from a financial burden standpoint. There are some students who probably can't afford these things.
Hey,
not poor, but kind of in this economy now, it's hard enough already it is to be financially stable. So as a person that is in this world and has seen the in and outs of low income and first generation, dudes, you kind of have to think about it like that. And I'm not saying this isn't true. I'm saying it is true. I hope it's not true. But financial burden is also one of those cons that you have to think about for these students and their backgrounds.
Agreed.
But dudes, I will say this: you want to, in the words of the Migos, right? Walk it like you're talking. Let's say that. Walk it like you're talking. You want to put style in your dress. You want to put style in your dress. But coming to school, coming to class, with bonnets on your head, do-rags on your head, I get it. You want to make sure your hair is tip-top shape. You know what I'm saying? That's all good and dandy. But you kind of have to put a little pep in your step. In the words of my mom used to tell me that all the time. you don't want to go to school. You don't want to go anywhere looking any kind of way. And in a mature mindset, Deuce, no student, okay, no student in their head should be walking to class with slides and do-rags on their head, because that's being lazy. But then at the same time, Deuce, it's a pro to this. It's comfort for some students. Deuce, there are some students who don't want to wear a suit and tie everywhere they go. You know, I mean, it's like you say, it's two sides of every story. But you at least want to dress with some kind of style. Now, this is kind of an academic focus mode. Like I just said before, I get it. You want to be relaxed. Hey, I want to be relaxed too. But you don't want to just put anything on. You want to at least come to class prepared. You want to at least come prepared with your mind right. Because you can't expect to pass a class being lazy. You can't expect that. We have to be mature about the way we act, but we also have to be mature about the way we dress. And I see what the Tuskegee president is trying to do, what the university is trying to do for their students.
Fix the image.
Fix the image. Fix the culture. Because there are some people who basically say that these young folks, they'll just wear anything and don't care. So basically, in other words, let's say Tuskegee is doing this to prove a point that we care about our students and we care about their grades, we care about their academic future. They can basically set them up, because there are some people who probably want to be politicians, doctors, nurses. But how can you be that? Dress professionally. But like I said, you don't want to dress like you came from home. I get that. I get it. You know, you wake up, your alarm don't go off, and oh man, I'm brushing. Let me try to put something on. Hey, I haven't done that. But you kind of want to prepare the night before. You want to prepare. Like before I go to work, Deuce, I put my work clothes out. I'm ready to go. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I got my clothes. I'm ready to go out the door. It's a strategic maturity preparation. Like I said, it's two sides to this. But
it sets you up. I just believe it sets you up for the future.
Yeah.
It sets you up for the future.
All this is. And I know probably some students are going to look at this differently. Oh, this is being too strict. In other words, yes, it is. But honestly, respectively, this is to help you gain some maturity about your life. Because life is not going to treat you right. It's your world, but the world's not going to treat you nicely. So it's up to you on how you dress, and how you dress dictates how your mindset thinks. So it's up to you. I see what the Tuskegee is trying to do. I'm not saying I approve. I'm not saying I disapprove, but I do see you
see where they're coming from. And I'm gonna say this really quick before we end it out, because we are approaching time.
But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this really quick. We're not saying that we agree. We're not saying we disagree. We're just looking at it from a neutral standpoint. That's why Michael gave you the pros and the cons, and that's why I keep saying you can see it from student side and the alumni side. However you take of it, though, if you're a student at Tuskegee, don't let that stop you from going to school. Please don't let that be the reason why you stop going to school. You need to look, whatever to do to keep, like I told him in the interview, keep making this a positive outlook on the HBCU is important. And if this is what's going to take a positive outlook on the HBCU, which I believe Tuskegee already gets in the positive outlook as they get. You know, they just had Magic Johnson. They've had a lot of stuff, you know, with their university. But let me say this: if you want to continue to better the image, so people don't even want to attempt to talk down on it, just you know, something as simple as this. Hey, put on a nice t-shirt and some jeans and some shoes and go to class. Hey, let me just you know, do this one day, get it over with, and worry about the next day. But to close this out, me and Michael will be taking a week break from HBCU Central. This one was a 55-minute episode. We hope you got enough content, and we love the support. We're almost at 2,500 followers on Instagram. Thank y'all for the continuous following. Thank y'all, and also if y'all are on the account, feel free to join the channel. I always type in their content ideas, schedule drops, and if you're a fan of the schedule drops, if you've noticed, I've started getting down to the NAIA colleges. I've also started getting down to our 2 D2 colleges, Lincoln, Missouri, and West Virginia, I believe. Those are 2 D2 schools that are not in the SEAC and the CIA that me and Michael will be covering this year. And also, look, HBCU Central is goal is to promote all HBCUs. So look, hey, we're starting on the NAIA schools right now with their schedules and stuff. So make sure y'all stay tuned to that. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and all of our footage. Hey, if we can blow up on Instagram, I believe that you can help our platform on YouTube, which is the main goal. We're at 390 subs. We're looking to get to 400 before the summer officially ends. And look, I know the summer is wrapping up, and y'all, a lot of y'all that watch HBCU Central are like, oh, what is Inside the Locker Room? And we have a lot of new followers here. Inside the Locker Room is all of us, and Inside the Locker Room will fully be back for football season when NFL kicks off. I know y'all have missed seeing me, Adam, Michael, and Ben all full together. And a lot of people keep asking me, are y'all still a team? Are y'all still a team? Yes, we are still a team. We still communicate. So don't. Hey, we're still working towards the overall goal of promotion. But I feel like right now HBCU Central has just been kind of on our end. We've been doing our end right now since NFL season is kind of slow right now, and NBA season is kind of slow right now. But like I said, when NFL season kicks back around, make sure you're staying tuned to on Sundays where we will be recording full groups of our NFL teams. You know, I'm a Cowboys fan, Michael's a Saints fan, Ben is a Jets fan, and Adam is a Seahawks fan. And we just report the overall NFL and NBA news. So make sure y'all are staying tuned to that. But thank y'all for watching this. If y'all stayed this long, and if y'all didn't stay this long and y'all just watching a reel or something, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share to all your followers and friends. We're trying to get the HBCU Central message out. People have been coming to us recently about, hey, can you start speaking on this? And me and Michael have said, sure, we spoke on it. Howard situation. Look, there's students that are getting enrolled back in school. And hey, thank y'all for blowing up that real us talking. Me and Michael have never really spoken about real world HBCU issues like that, and for that to be one of our first videos and for it to get over 25,000 views, that means a lot. And that shows that, hey, the HBCU community is listening and they're watching. And also, if you're an athlete that's looking for an HBCU home, y'all look, don't be scared to reach out. Look, we already have athletes in our, trying to reach out, trying to find HBCU homes. We are here to help. We are here to help. If you send us over some footage, hey, I'll get a graphic made. I'll get it posted up, and we can get you some promotion so you can, it's all free. We don't charge anything. You just have to reach out. Interviews, just have to book with us ahead of time, and we'll get it scheduled. We want to see success from HBCU athletes and HBCU players. If you're a high schooler that's trying to find an HBCU home that's a senior, send over your film and send over all your footage, and we will post it. HBCU coaches do follow our platform, and we are grateful for that. We are very grateful for that. So thank y'all for watching. Make sure, like I said again, like, comment, subscribe, share, and share this video. This is our first long video in about a month and a half. As always, Michael, do you have any closing remarks before we close this out?
All I can say is HBCU Central is a community-driven sports show. Okay, this isn't just, we're not just on here to talk about sports. What we're on here to do is educate the non-HBCU and the HBCU people. Like Deuce said, we appreciate y'all for, would you say, Deuce, 25,000 views? We appreciate y'all for that. And we also appreciate, students, alumni, and players for coming to us, asking us to give our thoughts on things. Because like I said, like Deuce just said, we are HBCU driven. We're HBCU community based. When me and Deuce started this, I told Deuce, let's make sure that we're not just a sports show, but we're also a community sports show as well. Because there might be a point in time where a community student or parent or whatever that may be want to come to us and ask us to give our opinions. And sure enough, a student from Howard asked us to give us our thoughts on that. And, the list goes on. So we appreciate y'all for not only listening in to us, but, interacting with us, commenting, just getting our message across. Because like I said, we're not just here to talk sports. I know that's probably what you see on some HBCU platforms, But here on HBCU Central, we're community driven. We're not just sports driven. So if you are a student and you're not an athlete, that doesn't matter. We're here to talk and help you get your point across. That's the whole point of this HBCU Central Foundation. HBCU Central, we are like a train station. We get that news out. As soon as news come in, hey, we back on the tracks, we rolling. That's what HBCU Central is. We rolling every time. So if there's something you want us to say, let us know. DM us. We'll make sure we get it out. Because like I said, we're here for you. We're not here for us. We're here for you. We wear these shirts to represent y'all. Dude's got his on. I got mine on. We're here for y'all. This ain't just for viewership. HBCU Central is about every single HBCU community, where you're big, small, medium, extra large, don't matter. We're here for you. And we're listening to you. So don't feel like you're DMing us and they ain't replying back. No, we're replying to y'all.
Yeah, sometimes it just be in the request and we just forget to open it.
Yeah. But respectfully, we're not ignoring y'all.
Yeah.
But again, we appreciate y'all for reaching out to us. Asking us to give our point across on that. Because like Deuce said, we don't normally do this. But not saying that we don't want to. We do want to. But in other words, we try not to get too involved in that. But hey, we don't mind getting our point across. We don't mind that. If you want us to say something, hey, we'll say something. Just let us know. Whatever it is, whatever's going on in your university, it don't have to be on HBCU Pass, HBCU Go, or whatever. Let us know. Because these HBCU platforms, they might not know what's going on your campus. You might know more than what they know. So let us know, and we'll reach. Hey, we'll get it out. But like you said, we appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. We love each and every one, university and community. Until next time, like Deuce said, we're gonna be out for about a week, maybe. Stay supporting, stay sharing, stay liking, commenting, and subscribing. And until next time, y'all. Michael, Deuce inside the locker room. Grace and peace. Y'all have a great night. Be safe.